Hi guys, in news that's exciting to pretty much nobody, the Conservatives are looking for a new leader, and this individual will be appointed in November, it's believed. So for the next number of months, we're going to see Tory candidate after Tory candidate ramp up their campaign, and perhaps we'll experience a debate or two. My money is on James Cleverly, although betting on elections, I believe, is more of a Tory pastime. Anyway, here he presented his credentials as a future Conservative leader, and being a Cleverly, there were a few problems with what he had to say. Have a listen to this.
So when I became Home Secretary, I toned down some of the rhetoric and I ramped up the delivery. Perhaps shouted less about immigration, but I actually brought net migration down.
No, this is true. Net migration is down. And why is it down? Well, part of the reason is down to a policy that James Cleverly supported. The idea of removing the ability of people who arrive in Britain on a visa from bringing their dependents with them. So politically, it was a wonderful policy. In reality, it was a terrible idea, but politically, it meant net migration will come down. Now, the problem for James Cleverly politically is that he will not really benefit from this. The Labour Party will. The Labour government will say, see, look, net migration down under a Labour government. Now, I think it's a very bad idea because what it's done, and we've seen the results of it already, universities have fewer foreign students because foreign students are not able to bring dependents with them, and Labour have not rolled back this policy. And of course, the care sector, which rely on foreign workers, you're basically telling them, we don't want you in the country. If you're going to bring dependents with you, your family with you, children with you, we don't want you. Go somewhere else. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're going somewhere else because they're being told Britain is not friendly, is not open to people like you. So politically, it's a wonderful idea. Stopping people from coming in, it's bringing down net migration, which seems to be what all the political parties or most of the big political parties want. But for the economy, it's an absolute disaster because you actually need workers at the moment and you're turning them away.
I was perhaps a little bit less bombastic in how I discussed the Rwanda Partnership.
At the very beginning, you described it as something that I can't repeat here on YouTube. Now, of course, James Cleverly realized after he'd have to fully support the Rwanda scheme because the Prime Minister was investing huge amounts of political capital in it. Rishi Sunak put everything into Rwanda, everything into stopping the boats. Of course, it failed, and the members of the members of his cabinet and members of the Conservative Party had to back it because the Prime Minister was backing it, and they had to show themselves as anti-immigration. But it didn't work, and you knew it wasn't going to work. You even described it as something that I can't repeat here.
But I actually signed a bilateral treaty and I actually got the legislation through the House of Commons, and we started the process of proving that Rwanda was a safe country.
Notice the language he uses here. Proving that Rwanda was a safe country, not actually showing that Rwanda was a safe country. So the legislation was to prove that Rwanda was safe, not actually demonstrate it. But Rwanda was not a safe country. Like, you knew it was not a safe country. The Supreme Court said it was not a safe country. What your legislation was to describe it as a safe country without actually providing evidence of that. And of course, the fact that people were coming from Rwanda and claiming asylum and being successful proved that it was not a safe country. Like, somebody joked about this and said, well, why didn't the Tories just legislate that the NHS waiting list was at 0? Because if you're going to operate outside reality when it came to Rwanda, well, you could have operated outside reality when it came to the NHS or anything else.
I did a big reform programme in the London Fire Brigade, and I did it without triggering a strike from the Fire Brigades Union.
Notice he scratched his face. Why is that relevant? Because here is a story from 2014. It says here, the Fire Brigade Union, whose members went on strike on New Year's Eve, so just before the new year in 2014, so in 2013, over pension changes, say storms and floods in parts of England earlier this month highlight the valuable and wide-ranging job done by firefighters. So who was responsible at the time? James Cleverly. Okay, so James Cleverly says there wasn't a strike, scratched his face, and then we have this report here from 2014 saying actually there was a strike. Has he been a little bit dishonest?
And if I became leader of the Conservative Party, then ultimately Prime Minister, as I say, it's a pattern that's worked for me in the past. So you can do tough stuff, and better to do tough stuff than talk about being tough.
Okay. As I said, I think James Cleverly is likely to be the next leader of the Conservative Party. The next Prime Minister, no, I don't think so. But the next leader of the Conservative Party. He's moderate enough to keep the MPs on board. And I think he's extreme enough for perhaps a majority of Tory party members. The Tory party members would prefer to have a headbanger, but the MPs would prefer to have somebody a bit more middle of the road. So I think James Cleverly is probably the best candidate that the Conservatives can put forward. But it all depends on how the members vote. They would, there's a possibility they would put somebody crazy in charge. So we're going to hear more lies, more rubbish, and more rhetoric from the Conservatives going forward. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.